Hi, and welcome back to my channel. This book review is for a blog tour that I have coming up for The Rakes Daughter by Anne Gracie. Now, The Rakes Daughter is book number 2 in the Brides of Bel Air Garden series. Now, I did check and found that I felt like I would want to read the first book. In retrospect, I can tell you, or an afterthought, is the books are pretty much not connected, so they could be read as standalones, but I'm really glad that I read both of them. The first book, and we'll talk about that for just a minute because I did read it before I read The Rakes Daughter, was called The Scandalous Daughter. And it's the Bride of Bel Air Garden. In the first book, we have Alice, who had been married for 18 years to a very dominating husband. And now she gets blackmailed into taking in a young woman named Lucy and finding her a noble husband, a husband who is a noble. Now, if she can find Lucy a husband, her blackmailer will let her go. Well, she ends up getting help to get young Lucy married. And so as that relationship starts to bloom, something else happens. The young man that she thinks would be good for Lucy's name is Gerald, but he has a good friend, his former commanding officer, named James. James is a father to, I think, 3 little girls, and he lost his wife shortly after she gave birth to her 3rd child. Now, or their 3rd child. While he was away at war, he never even met his 3rd child. Well, meanwhile, Alice is working so hard to work with Lucy, but there's something that's developing between her and James. And the reason I'm telling you about this book is because it was excellent, a 5-star book. What I loved about this book is that Lady Charlton, Alice, had been unhappily married for nearly 2 decades. And James breaches her defenses and reaches her heart. So that was The Scandalous Daughter. I'm so glad that I read it before I read the book that we're talking about in this video. The book we're talking about in this video, the purpose of this video, I should say, is The Rakes Daughter, which is book number 2. Now, as I mentioned earlier, the characters are completely different, and the storylines are similar, but the characters are different, so they can both be read individually. But if you like continuity like I do, then you're going to want them both. So in this particular book, we have Leo, and now he's the Earl of Salcott, a new title. Whenever you're part of a family, a line, then when a death happens, you take on a role. So Earl never thought he would become Earl, but that's what he is now. And so now he finds himself guardian to an heiress who's the daughter of a rake. But this heiress has a half-sister, okay? So Leo's job is to find Clarissa a husband, to introduce her to London society and bring her into whatever situation that will get her married. However, Clarissa is almost handbound to her half-sister Isabel, or Izzy, and Clarissa and Izzy are a team. Now the thing is, Isabel was an illegitimate child. So she has no prospects. She has no name. She has no title. She has no place in society. Well, Clarissa won't have that. And her and Izzy make a good team when it comes to what's going to happen to Izzy. But here's the catch. Every time Leo looks at Izzy, he notices something different about her. It could be her eyes, it could be her skin, it could be her hair, it could be her clothes. He just finds himself staring. But he's now an earl, and she's a penniless, illegitimate young lady who doesn't even or shouldn't even have a place in London society, but yet he's drawn to her. All right, so Leo has other business. He goes off and he goes to manage his other business. Okay? Now, he tells the girls, just stay put. I'll be back soon, and we'll resume a search for a husband for Clarissa. Well, Clarissa and Izzy have other ideas. They shop, they plan, they create a party with a guest list. And it's hard to tell who's the lady and who's the illegitimate one because they're both beautiful. So Leo comes back, and now he finds out that both of these women are thrust into London society without his help. But wait a minute, what's Lizzie doing here? Izzy, I said Lizzie. What's Izzy doing there? Really, really good story. Now, did I like this one? Yes, I gave the first book 5 stars, and I'm going to give this one 5 stars as well. Because you have a time in history when class meant everything. Okay? Class meant everything. And the fact that these were half sisters who did not see that line. They never saw that line. As a matter of fact, when they met as children, they were just so close. It was beautiful. It was beautiful. Now, the sad part of the story is their father, who was a notorious rake, was awful towards Izzy. In fact, he wasn't even a great father to Clarissa. So now that Clarissa and Izzy are under the care of Leo, what's going to happen to them? What's going to happen? Will Clarissa find her love? Or what about the fact that that Leo is drawn to Izzy? How will that work out? Now I noticed, I'm just looking at Goodreads real quick. There's only 15 reviews on this, and it's not out yet. It'll be out tomorrow. My calendar is on my clock. And I hope that this book gets more notice because it was a really, really good story. It was an emotional story because you have to find I want to say the catch, because that's not the best word, but how would two people that were really drawn to each other, separated by class, make for a long-lasting relationship? Really good book. Excellent book. I'm not reading a lot of historical romance these days, but I'm so glad I read the Scandalous Daughter and this one, the Rakes Daughter. And if there's a third book, which I don't see here on Goodreads, I will read it. Anne Gracie is a very, very good writer. She wrote a compelling story, one that I was very drawn to, and I'd like to recommend. Now, this is at the Kindle store for $8.99, and I easily got The Scandalous Daughter at my library, so I'm sure once this book is released, which is tomorrow when you'll see this video, you can get this book from your library as well. You can also get it, like at Kindle, but you can also get it on Audible, but it's a good read. So if you like good historical fiction with a historical romance with an emotional edge, then I highly recommend The Rakes Daughter. Alrighty, thank you for watching. Bye-bye.